So we had the West Australian Telethon for kids over the weekend. It was reported that we raised $83 million, West Australians. Is anyone really believing that? Well, let me break it down for you. So $83 million plus was raised by West Australians, apparently. But when you really do the maths, all the contribution that were over $1 million, they were corporates. And out of that $83 million, $62 million was raised by corporations. 62 million plus. So let's take a look at the West Australian headline, shall we? So that's the headline. It's actually 83,264,216. Yeah? And then we're going to read some of this, just the first couple. So it says here in the paper, West Australians have opened their hearts and their wallets to push Telethon to an incredible record total of 83,264,216. Despite facing a cost of living crisis, the generosities of everyday West Australian was again on show as they dug deep to raise money for sick and disadvantaged children across the state. Well, if that wasn't a misleading piece of journalism, then God knows what is. Because the reality is, it wasn't West Australians, it was corporations. Let me give you a little breakdown. See, in Australia, we have about 26.5 million people living in Australia. And in Western Australia, we have about 2.76 million people in the state of Western Australia. In order for you to find out what the population of adults are, we have to divide it by at least 77%. So in Australia alone, that would bring down to 20.41 million adults throughout Australia. And then in WA, I think we're looking more, like 2.13 million people in Western Australia that are adults. Now, we know that $62 million was corporation contribution out of the 83 million. But if we were to do a state thing, it'd be about $10 per person. And across Australia, if we were to add every adult that had to contribute, it'd be about $1.05. Yeah? Give or take. So we're being duped by the media and we're being duped by our government. So what the media is doing in this case is denying the fact that we are in a recession. We are in a recession, people. But the government will not come out and tell you that because they know that everything will fall apart once they use those words. It will. And that's the scariest part, is when they don't want to tell you that we're in a state of affairs that people are buying at the high end of housing. So the Telethon is a dupe to tell everyone that we're not in a recession and that West Australians dug deep. Well, you didn't. You didn't dig deep. You are struggling to put food on the table. You are struggling to pay your rent and you're struggling to survive. We've got people living in their tents. We say this over and over and over again, yet no one in the government or the media are reporting correctly. Because they don't want to report correctly. Because a bust is about to come. Now, we also know that we're taxed at the highest level in this country. We're one of the most wealthiest countries, but we are the most taxed. And there's no need for it. We are taxed on fake money, just like we're going to be taxed on the digital currency, but we're still going to be taxed. You're being taxed for thin air. Right now, we're being taxed for paper money. We're taxed from the moment we are paid, before we're paid, when we're paid, when we pay money into super, during super, when we take out super, when we go. We are taxed on every single thing. And our government is trying to dupe you into thinking that West Australians contributed to $83 million. Well, you didn't. It was corporations.